Hi there, I'm Bonnie Log Cabin Stitcher. Welcome to my channel and welcome to my sewing room. You can follow me on Instagram at Bonnie Log Cabin Stitcher. And today, this is going to be my quilting number 7 video. My quilting number 6 video cut off a minute before I was done. I was working on iMovie, learning how to edit, spent hours on that, and in the midst of it, it is now held hostage in iMovie, and I deleted the original video, so I couldn't even post that. So I'm going to be working on trying to get that done. If I need to, I will completely redo it, because that's where I was going to share all my harvest quilts. So I'm going to keep working on it this week. But while my quilting friends were waiting for a video, I thought I'm going to do this right now and get this up. So this is a different view than you usually see. So I'm going to be doing a little chunk today on this wall of my house. This is the south-facing wall, and this is where when I'm looking in front of me, that's usually where I have my quilt that is in my backdrop, and that is the nice big place where I can display a quilt. And then when I am looking over to the east, that is where I usually film most of my floss tubes. So next floss tube video that I do, I will be talking a little bit about the bread box that I have on the wall there and the fun things in there, because people have been asking about the little quilt that the bear is holding, and it's actually part of an antique quilt. So I will be showing a little bit more about those details. But I know the people that I follow, I love to know the details about the room that we see. I love when they show the things and when they explain what they have and why they are special to them. So that's what I wanted to do in this one. I'm just going to be talking about this one quilt today. So this is my pineapple quilt. And then I'm going to be showing you, there's a secret behind here. And I just wanted to introduce you to this side of my room. So while I am in my room, these are the things that I'm looking at, and these are my storage areas. I love to look at my fabrics. I love to look at my quilts. I love to look at the stuff I have. And I know many of my viewers are enjoying those same things too. So I just wanted to share my collection and my things with you guys. So here we go. Over on this wall, my window is right next to this bookcase. So the window is facing where I usually have, when I'm doing my floss tube videos, I'm usually looking straight out that window, and that wall is behind me. So the sun, as it comes in, will not damage these quilts. Then, so I can have them displayed, I usually roll them a little bit differently, fold them differently as I have them up here. I have 3 shelves. Can you see? I can see my hand here. I've got 3 shelves of folded quilts that I have here. These are not all the quilts that I have, and these are not all the quilts that I have made. Several of these are quilts that my mom has made too. So I like to have these displayed. And then down lower, let's see if I can show you that and get you back up there. Down lower, hopefully you can see this. I have my some of my quilt pattern books. Then I have my Valdani. I don't know if that's showing for you. I've got my Valdani in this beautiful hand-painted Italian leather tote that my friend gave me. And then I've got quilt magazines down on the very bottom there. Then up higher, hopefully this isn't going to be crazy, up higher, this is all the stuff on top of my bookcase. You can see up there, I need to paint, and that's where I was just going to wait, and I was going to do a sewing room tour when it was perfect. Goodness knows it may never be perfect, so eventually that'll get painted. These are some special things for me. This is a neat old basket. I love old baskets. This one is special because with each of my kids, when they were born, when they were each, let's see, Jake was born, my oldest one, on December 3rd. It's almost his birthday. His birth announcement, he was a premature baby, so he was not that early, maybe 2-3 weeks early. I put him in my Christmas stocking, and I laid him on the floor, put a lit wreath around him, and my mom and I were having so much fun. He was just adorable there. We took a picture, and that was his birth announcement. Then my second son, Chad, was born at Easter time. So I had him with little rabbit ears as a baby, that was probably with that old quilt that I had, that little, I can't remember. I'll have to find the picture and maybe I'll put that in eventually. I won't find it for now. But anyway, I had him snuggled up with a quilt inside that basket as his birth announcement. So that's why I must always keep this basket. And I've got some of my mom's stuff in here as well. Then this is a bear that my mom's friend, my mom was a professional bear maker. And Artisan Bears, though, not mass-produced bear, Artisan Bears. This was one of her special friends, Mary. When Mary passed away, my mom told me about it. And so I just remember Mary was a sweet friend of my mom. And this is just some old stuff, another old antique quilt. And then I've got, so here's my mom. That's my mom stitching in Colorado in her front room, hand quilting her first quilt that she did. So these are just some of my special treasures. I've got some old antique jars up there with, I don't know how you point up there, antique jars up there with old antique buttons, as well as some neat old stuff that a friend of mine gave me from her neighbor. So now we've got this. Now we're going to transition. I hope I'm doing this okay, where now you can move and see this quilt. So this is the Pinapple Quilt, and this is done by, it was a pattern by Linda Brannock. The story behind this, and what I wanted to share was to give you guys encouragement, because I know a lot of the times as I'm sharing my quilts that I've done, they've been done many years ago, and those patterns are not available anymore, and it can be kind of frustrating because you see something that you really love, you want that pattern, yet you can't find it. So this is the story of this quilt. So before I got into FlossTube, I was addicted to Pinterest, and I could sit with my cup of coffee in Pinterest for hours and just, I called it harvesting, just gathering pictures of quilts and stitching and gardening, everything. I've got thousands of pins on my Pinterest boards. I've probably got about 50 different boards that I pin. So as I was looking at different quilt patterns, I saw it was folded up on a ladder, because I have a whole board that's just with ladders, because I have some old ladders. It was a quilt display, and it had a portion of this quilt. And I think it just had like this portion. And I thought, oh my gosh, I got to get that pattern. I got to make that quilt. And I was on a mad hunt. And so this was just, I like a treasure hunt. So I just started searching. You can take an image and somehow do a reverse image too, but mostly I was just searching on Pinterest. Somehow I figured out that it was a pattern done by Linda Brannock. And so then I just kept searching. Then I went on Amazon and I looked at used books, because a lot of times I have a search that I do in Amazon for used books for Jan Paddock, Linda Brannock, let's see, Kim Deal, but usually hers are not used. But I just like to search old books, because I have found some wonderful old Blackbird design quilt books for like $4. So if you just keep searching, you can find things. So I went on a hunt, and I went and was searching used books on Amazon, and I found it. So this is the pattern book, and this is because, and this is how I knew, because that was in there. So I knew this quilt had to be in this book. It was an older book, got it used, don't even know how much I paid for it, but that was my treasure hunt. And then when I got it, I quickly made this quilt. Sometimes I will get a book and it was just the fun for the treasure hunt of it. But I had a really fun time. I have always loved pineapples. I love that that is the colonial motif for hospitality, and I've always loved pineapples. But when I got this book, there was two things that I found. I found the pattern, so it's just called Pineapples, and this is the pattern. Mine is very close to that. I just did a different color with the yellow or the gold inner border. But the other thing I found in this book is this pattern. Now, this tree right here is the tree. So next time you watch one of my floss tubes, that Jan Paddock quilt that it's in the background in the corner, that is the tree that I added to that Jan Paddock quilt. So that's just fun on the search and the hunt and being able to find patterns even when they are out of print. Just takes some patience, it takes some time, but for me, I enjoy it. Usually, sometimes I get frustrated. Then the other thing I wanted to share with you is my quilt journal. And I think I've shared this before on a quilting video, but I love these moleskin notebooks. I just, in the mail today, came these little tiny, these are going to be my notes, and I'm going to do a new Bible verse one in these little tiny moleskin. So I can get these on Amazon. They're a 3-pack. This is craft brown, and I like the ruled one. So I love these notebooks, and I just use washi tape and decorate it. But I have all kinds of notes with so these are my quilt journals. So this is my one, and I have it about the pineapples quilt. And I did it in July of 2018. I write all kinds of notes. So I was using the scraps that I had. I really wanted to match something, and I used this, this beautiful border. That was, I did not have much left after that, but whenever I see neat floral red borders, I need to buy more like 2 or 3 yards of it. A lot of times I'm scrappy and I'll buy a half a yard or a yard, but I am really finding that the dark reds, I adore them for borders. I barely had enough of the green and the red. So I even have notes of, do I have enough? And I was measuring, and I probably made the border just wide enough so that I could have it for this. I'm gonna try to take this off the wall so I can show you a close-up. I will be posting pictures of this close-up on Instagram because the detail of the hand quilting really makes it look like a pineapple, and I love it. So that's where I love my moleskin notebooks, for being able to write notes in there. Then I remember I wanted to do a blog a while ago, and I took pictures of the stages of making this quilt to explain how I do the hand applique and the big stitching. Now, eventually, because I'm a little leery of iMovie right now, eventually I will do just a whole separate video about the stages of this quilt. But for right now, because if I wait too long and I try to learn something, it's just not going to get done. So these are the pieces of my of the applique that I do. It's just the freezer paper, and yes, the next video that I do, I will be doing a demonstration on how I do the freezer paper method. But you can see this is just freezer paper, and these are all, you can see they're all wrinkly because it's the heat, and I do 2 to 3 layers thick, and you can see it kind of gets when you're getting the starch on there, it gets a little messy. So these are just all the pieces from that. No, this is a different pineapple quilt. Am I wrong? Yeah, I am wrong. I was just, anyway, that's a different pineapple quilt that I will show you someday. One of my favorites. Where is it? I don't know. I'll have to undo that to see that, but I'll show you that another time. So this is my pineapple quilt. Now, usually what I do, I'm going to show you the secret behind here. Am I going to show you that now? Oh, no, I'm sorry. I've got a few more things to show you. So again, I always like to do these videos as if you were just a friend hanging out with me in my sewing room. And I am like all over the place all the time. So I forgot I put these things over here so I didn't have to keep getting so close. Here's the other thing about the hunt. I was looking through a magazine, and there was a quilt pattern by Gerry Kimmel. So this book is both Gerry, Gerry, Kimmel, and Linda Brannock. So that's what made me think of this, because I'm going to show you some more pattern books that I have over there, and I keep these together. So there was a magazine that I was looking through about Gerry Kimmel and her Red Wagon Quilt Company, and I saw a quilt that she just showed, and it was darling. It was an applique, and it was a train, and I thought, oh, that would be perfect for if I ever have grandchildren. I can always adopt, or Riley can use it. But I was on a search for that pattern. So again, you know, I'm searching Amazon, searching used books, and I found this one used, and it was by Gerry Kimmel, and I thought, oh, that looks like kids, that could be it. And so I just ordered it. You know, you pay a couple bucks and then a couple more bucks for shipping. And no, it was just kids. It was not that book, but it's cute. But then I searched some more and I found this book, and this is it. And this is a lovely quilt book. This is Fall into Winter. I am going to make this one day, but of course I have drawings that I'm going to like change that up quite a bit. But this is the quilt that I found. So I've had this book for years, and have I made that quilt yet? No. Do I have plaids? Yes. But still I haven't made it. But it was about the hunt. It was the hunt, and I look through this all the time, and I'm going to make this in flannels. And if I don't forget, I will show you. Right next to me is my dresser with all my flannels. That was the hunt. Then there was another time on Pinterest, I saw a pattern that I wanted, and it was out of print, but it was Jan Paddock and it was Cherie Ralston, and it had a big, what is that, starburst, whatever that block is. It had that in there, and I thought, well, if I can't find that pattern that I wanted, I can figure out and I can make another one. And so I ended up buying this one used as well. And then I thought, oh darn, I love this. I love that quilt pattern. So this one is Stars All Around Us. And this one really is. So I got this. I write, and this is what else I do. I write the year. I just wrote Bonnie 119. So I got this last January. But this one is really is a neat book because it just has a lot of things that are stars. So it's kind of like a travel diary of everything related to stars, because everything has stars in this. But I love that quilt. And then the other one, the other one is the one that's on the front here. So again, it's a search, it's a hunt, and sometimes you can find them used for just a couple dollars. Like this was originally $24, but there's no way I paid that for it. I get a lot of things on sale, whether it's fabric, whether it's older books. That way I can gather things, and I like getting stuff on sales. The other thing I did, another search, that's where I wanted to share with you just this kind of a different video, but about the search. And I was doing Pinterest and I saw a quilt. And I had made one similar to that in one of our Quilt Guild classes that I went to, but it had a little bit different look. And so I was searching and searching and searching, figured it out, and it was this book, and it's an older book. It is Spikes and Peaks by Kaye, England. So this is the quilt. And that one is kind of harder to see because it's folded over. But this is the quilt. I loved the layout of it, and it's scrappy. It's perfect. I have everything that I need for it. So again, that's all about the hunt. Goodness knows, I should write in there how much I pay for it, but I got that this year. But again, probably only a couple dollars. So here's something else. Look, I know how much this one cost. This one was $2. This is a Jan Paddock book. And actually, I think my friend gave it to me. She was trying to sell some books and it didn't, so she gave it to me. But this is something else I wanted to share. I love Jan Paddock quilts. Sometimes they're a little bit more folk arty than I do, so I just change them up. But I love Jan Paddock. She has a great YouTube channel with a lot of, she does needle turn applique. She has a lot of videos that really explain it well, and I love how she talks about how she actually does the curves and to make things good. So I like her hand applique tutorials. This was a book about her, and it's more of a journal, and it's the stories behind the quilt. So this one was really neat, and it was about a time in her life that she was an empty nester. And so I got this out, and I was thinking about sharing this and doing it as a giveaway, and I thought, no, I need to keep this because I still want to keep it for a little bit longer. But I was looking through it and just reading her journal pages. So she journaled and shared that in the book as she made patterns to go through this stage in her life. She had a very hard time when she was an empty nester. And, oh, it's only 19 minutes so far. I really wanted to read you one of the pages because I so identified with this, because it's like, it was as if she was sharing the stories behind her quilt. She was sharing the emotions that she was feeling, and that's what I tend to do in these videos. I know mine are a little bit different than other people's videos, my floss tube and my quilting, because I talk more about the emotions, but that's me. And that's where, if you were hanging out with me, and I wish you were, in my sewing room, we'd be having tea or coffee and just laughing and crying and talking. And that's why I really love doing these videos, because a lot of the comments that I get are from viewers that are connecting with me, and it's just lovely. I love it. So this is the quilt that goes along with this journal page, but I just wanted to read it to you because it was so much like how I was connecting with it. So this is March 19th, 1992. It's 4 in the morning. The dogs went off at something, a coyote probably. Anyway, lying there, I suddenly realized why I make quilts. My quilts aren't just designs that look nice. My quilts are a journal of my life, inside and out. They're a record of what is going on in my life, emotionally and literally. They are statements about things that impact me and that I consider important. I think quilts are journals in a way to all of us, whether we design our own or not. Maybe that's one reason quilting is so enduring. Through our quilts and the colors we choose, we have made statements about ourselves and what is important to our lives. Houses, trees, wedding rings, churns, stars, sunshine, and shadows. No matter what happens, we keep on quilting. I'm not at all sure just who I am right now. Now that the main part of my mothering job is over, I didn't think that I would have much trouble with my children growing up because I've always had my art. But I am having trouble. I miss them and the vitality they brought to my life. Not enough to start again, though. That part of my life is over. So who am I right now and what am I doing? I don't know. But I do know that I want to keep on quilting soft colors and lots of space, lots of warmth and comfort, lots of summer skies. And then as I was looking through this, I thought, oh, I like this quilt. I just thought that was beautiful and sweet and simple. So what she was sharing was the reason that I'm doing these videos, floss tube and quilting. What she shared about wondering who she is right now and knowing that this is a stage of her life. If you look at my quilting #1 video, that is the whole reason that I started doing these videos is when my son moved out, my second son moved out that day, as I was driving some of his stuff to where he was moving in with my other son. I just was thinking, who am I now? Not like some weird thought, but who am I? The mothering part is more or less over, just like she shared, and now I have more space in my life. What can I do? And this is what I've chosen to do. I call it my video project. And those things connect with me. Like right now I don't have grandchildren, and I may never have grandchildren, but this is a time in my life I can invest in myself and my husband. And it has really been a neat experience. I am enjoying the romance of being alone with my husband again. And it is a neat time. When my son Chad comes over, he's the one that just moved out. He used to always come and hang out with me in my sewing room. And he came in the other day, he came to get some stuff, and he sat down with me, and that was the first day that I didn't cry when he came back to visit, because I would tell him, I'm so glad you're gone, because it's right. He's a young man. He needs to be out of his parents' house. But I miss him, and I miss that connection of being that mom, yet I love that he's gone too. And it is a very interesting place that I'm in, but I like it. But that's what I wanted to share with you. The other things, because I showed you, hopefully I showed you, when I tipped down the video, I have no idea, because I can't see actually what exactly you guys can see. But I have a lot of magazines, and I have had tons of magazines. I had my own. My mother gave me some. My friend, when she moved out of state, gave me hers. And I go through each one of them because there's treasures in there, but I cannot keep all those. And I used to have a bunch in the garage. I'm working on cleaning out the garage, so we can have a nice space in the garage. So these are some of the things that I do, and I think a lot of you do too. If I see something that I like and I don't necessarily need the information on that pattern, I just cut out a picture, because really it was the colors that inspired me. Then this is one of my needle books, and I am addicted to needle books. This is one that I have that I made exactly like this, and I just keep it in, I try to keep it in notebooks, and actually that was just sitting in a box. So this is the other thing that I do with the quilt magazines that I do keep. I try to write on that label, like if I want to try to find something, I probably have, I don't know, 30 magazines down there. Oh no, I've got more. I probably have 75 magazines down there. So if I'm trying to remember where something was, it really helps if I have that note right there. These are other things that I do. This is what I did. I put a note on the front of here. Now, sometimes I just use these tabs, and I don't always write on there what they are, but at least I can know. I can sit down with my cup of coffee. And a lot of times I will just sit, I've got carpet in here for right now, not much longer, but I'll just sit down on the floor. I have a soft squishy pillow, sit down on the floor and go through my magazines. So that was something that I wanted to share with you. And these are just, you know, the Post-it notes that I love. I have tons of them. Then, okay, so for those of you, we're 26 minutes into this. So I like to save my giveaways for those people that watch through the end. We're not done yet. Don't even think we're done yet. Get that second cup of coffee or that tea and we're good to go. I got some giveaways. I have giveaways in that video that's held hostage because I passed 3,000 subscribers at that point. That was November 2nd that I did that video. Today is the 17th. So I was cleaning so I could actually get over here, and I found some more patterns. So these are some giveaways. Now, today is, I'm going to upload this video so it'll be up on the 18th of November. You have until midnight of November 28th. That is only 10 days, but it's incentive for those of you who actually watch my videos, who look forward to when they come out, and who enjoy them right away. You guys get rewarded. So I have 3 patterns to share, and you have until midnight of November 28th, because one of them is a Christmas one, and I would love to get that done. Then you have 1 week to get back to me. Get me your address so I can send it to you. Otherwise, I go on to another person. So I will comment on your comment on November 29th. So please check back November 29th. I will put my email there, bonnielogcabinstitcher@gmail.com. You might want to write that down. Get me your address and I'll pop that in the mail. For right now, I know these are the rules. So 18 or over. I would love you to be a subscriber, but I'm not going to check. And it needs to be US right now, just so I can make sure that it gets there, because there's issues with the mail. Eventually, when life gets to our new normal, it'll be open to like the whole world. So for right now, those are the rules. So the first one is this pattern. I got this on my very first trip to Road to California. I never made this, but this is before. This was going to be a really simple quilt for me because I was more into the embroidery. So if you can see, there is embroidery on that. So simple quilting and embroidery. This is me and my sister designed. You can see it was $9. And so you have until the 28th, and you're going to put Alice. So use the word Alice. Use a capital A, because this is called Alice Ann. So the word Alice, if you would like to get this, and also like one pattern to each winner. So I'm gonna choose the names in the order that I'm showing you right now. So if the same person wins Alice that wins something else, I'm gonna go on to the next person. So that way, whoever I chose first gets that. You guys will figure it out. Now, let me reach over here. Okay, so the next one is for this pattern, but I wanted to show you. I'm actually giving this away to a friend of mine with some daughters. I loved this when I made it. I've had it for forever, and I really love this fabric. But these are old buttons that I put on there. Just fun old buttons. And so it's the pattern for this. So I think I put in extra pockets on the inside. But this is what the pattern is for. Oh, it's dusty. It is for Charm Party Tote. So this is the next pattern. So this, you would put the word party in, and you can if you want all three. Oh, that was dusty. Go for it. So this one, if you want this one, party with a capital P. Then the other one is the Christmas one. Again, I had a lot of bare roots patterns when I first got into stitching and embroidery. This one I never made, so, but who knows, I may have written notes on the inside. So this is bare roots. Oh, excuse me. And it is a cute, see, Santa, a Christmas tree skirt. So if you would like that, you're just going to use the word skirt. So there you go. Those are some giveaways. And hopefully we'll get the first response and get those off to you. Now I can show you a little bit more. Last thing I'm going to show you. I told you I loved needle cases. And here's something. I have a friend of mine. Her name is Judy. And she's my friend that recently moved out of state. She had a neighbor that she cared for, and then the neighbor passed away. And Judy got her stuff. And there was a lot of old, neat stuff. And Judy knew that I loved old, neat stuff. So that's where some of the jars in there have old sewing trim, rickrack, and neat old stuff. But one of the things that Judy gave me was this. This is, I've looked it up, and gosh, it was a while ago. I believe it's a World War II. This is what the soldiers would carry with them. The needles are somewhere. Oh. The needles are somewhere. I do not know where they are. But isn't this neat? So this is, let's see if I can show it. This is different threads for their uniforms. So I don't know if it's just Army, military. I don't know. So service guys. And then there is a bunch of buttons in here. Buttons that would go on all different types of uniforms. So isn't that cool? I just love that this is old and it is neat. And I got to figure out where those needles are because I don't know where those needles are. But this usually sits up here, and that's why I wanted to show it to you. Okay, now let's show what is behind here. And then, this is usually what I do. So I want to show it to you close up in a second. So don't let me forget. This is what's behind here. This is my closet. So this keeps... Because I took the door off of here, couldn't have the door and all this stuff right here. So when I want to go into my closet, this is what I do. Usually I turn the light on, but the light's not going to work with this video. So I'm just going to leave the light off there, and you're going to just see what I'm doing. But this is usually what I do. So the light from the window could reflect in to this wall of fabric. And so that's why I usually have it shut. It just gives me also another place that I can display a quilt. That quilt was perfect for that. It doesn't go all the way to the floor, but it doesn't matter because the sun's not going to get in there. Now, these are my drawers. So I have a whole, this is just one of those old, we have a 1960s house. I just recently got my mom's ironing table, and it doesn't quite fit in here, but it's my mom's and I love it, and it's big. We have one of those older, it's a 1960s house, so it is the smaller closet. The other closet, that's going to be, now my husband's room is going to be on that side. He gets to do, he's going to have his den. I'm going to have my room, and he's going to have his fun room. And I told him we could put a little window here and we could talk to each other. But this is a wall of drawers with my fabric. So I have it in such a way that I just flip through. I can flip through. These are all my greens. And I can flip through and look at them. And then I've got, whoops, more greens. And then up here, I have Christmas fabric. So then over here, I have more. These are you can see these better. These are the Iris drawers. There are 3 drawers, and they're Iris brands. Sterilite has them too. They will sag. I had Sterilite originally. They sagged, and it made it so I couldn't open the drawers. So Iris is the best brand. The other cool thing is a lot of times I will want to bring it out to the quilt table, which the stand is on right now. I can pull this out squeeze it, suck my stomach in, and then come out there. But you can see I have folded everything, and then this is what I see when I go in my closet, and I can see a lot of fabric. So I love that I have things stored that way. The way that I came up with this was part of my healing with getting back into my sewing room. So I think it was 2 years after my mom passed away. I had 2 years where I didn't want to be in here. Part of it was because this big, beautiful picture that my dad got me of my mom, that's how I'm going to close the video out. I'm going to show you that picture. I had it where I would see it every time I walked in this room, and it got to be too much. I loved that I had a picture of my mom, but it was too hard. So eventually I now have it behind my door, so I can have it when I want to see it. And I had a lot of my mom's stuff. My mom, like I said, was a professional bear maker. I had a lot of her bears all over the place. I had a lot of her stuff, and it was too much for me because I would grieve every time I came in here. And so it was right at Christmas time, I decided, because I wasn't working much and I knew that I was going to grieve as I was going through and gutting out my sewing room, it was a good time. And at the same time, I was talking to my dad, and I said, Dad, I'm ready to move on with my life. And he said, I am too, Bon. He calls me Bon or Bonge. And so he was too at that time. And so we were just talking, and we would cry sometimes and talk. But it was just neat where my dad and I were both ready to move forward, to stop grieving so much and move forward. So during that time, it was great. I had like that whole week, and I would get a drawer out because I just had stuff thrown in there or folded up really tiny. I would get a drawer out and I would dump it on the couch. That's usually, the futon is behind me when I do my floss tube videos. And I would dump a whole drawer out, and then I had my mom's quilting table in front of me, and I folded the fabric in such a way that I could flip through it. I feel like a little filing cabinet. I could flip through that and look through the colors. And then I realized how much fabric that I had. And remember, I have inherited a lot of my mom's fabric, and then my sister is generous with me as well. So I have a lot of fabrics. And it was really neat to see what I had and to get it very organized. But also, when I go to get stuff out, I can make a big mess. I've been making project bags, and I just, throw everything, pulling stuff away. So sometimes it can get to be a big mess in there. And I have things by color, but also I have a lot of Kansas Troubles quilt fabric. So I have one complete drawer, and that's where I was going through to do a project bag, and then I just kind of wadded it up and threw it in because I'm still going to go through that. Then I have another drawer that's just Kim Deal, and also Janet Nesbitt, who was, anyway, she's One Sister Designs now. I can't think of the name. And then I have another quilt drawer with some more modern kind of fabric that it's its own little section. So that's how I've organized. Then up higher, I have strips and things to complete particular projects that I have. And then I've got a lot of my mom's plaid. I got 3 boxes of my mom's plaids and scraps. So I have scraps also in colors, so that when I want to go through and do something with my scraps, I can do that. So I've got everything very organized. Plastic boxes is how I do it, and we're good to go. So that's my closet, and that's what I wanted to share with you. So now, let's see if I can do this. I have kind of a hokey way of having this quilt up there. I had wanted to do just a rod, and I went to Hobby Lobby and got all these different little things on the end, but I'm kind of done with that now. Let's see how I can do this without breaking something. They're kind of stuck on here. Let me just unclip them for a minute. I did the video that you haven't seen yet. This is how that quilt that's behind me on the wall that you usually see, I have these with these little clamps. So these little clamps, they can damage fabric. So I'm being careful. So you can see, I am unclamping it. And yes, if this was a precious quilt, antique quilt, I would not be doing this. But I love that I have, I'm not going to break something. I love that I have the ability to change these quilts up. Actually, 1, 2, 3. Even the Jan Paddock one is held up this way as well. So it's just kind of how I roll. And I've been doing this for a long time. But can you see it's left a little plant mark. So usually what I just do is I rub it with my fingernail. And then I will move this around. So now that I have this down, I may choose another quilt to have up there. I don't have a lot of quilts that are that same size, but it would be good to give this one a rest and put something else up there. Okay, so now let's see if I can do this. So isn't this cool? This is probably one of my favorite ones. So this is how I did the hand quilting. It took me a while to figure out, and I made the hokiest little stencil to try to get this going, to try to make, I wanted them all even, but I just did a little cross there and the hand quilting. I decided not to hand quilt within this. I kept trying to play around with it and figure it out. Didn't work. But here's another fun one too. So you can see the design in the fabric, and I laid it out in such a way that I could stitch where in between those designs. So this guy, yep, you can see that a lot. Where's another fun fabric? Oh, this is one that you can really see too. So like this guy, you can really see the hand quilting. This one more of a crazy design, so you don't see it as much. So that is my quilt. I was not quite sure. I did not stitch in the cream background, but you can see I did the big stitch all around the leaves there and the heart. And then I've shown this before. Oh, in that video that you can't see yet, but hopefully you will, I talk about how when I have kind of a, it's not a crazy design, but a pretty potent design, I don't want my quilting really to show up. And so I do a design that does the job of quilting it without distracting and taking away from it. So, but isn't that gorgeous fabric? I want to say it's Kansas Troubles. And that is my quilt. So now let's share with you, this is the tour. So I'm going to move this and you get to see some more of the stuff that is in my room. So this is neat. Oh, this I got, gosh, years ago. This was a Hobby Lobby find. It already looked like this. It had the neat distressed design on here. But this was years ago. I've had this for a long time. It was in my bedroom, and then I put it in here. So this is where I store a lot of treasures in here. But I wanted to share with you, this is where, when I get the pre-cuts, I love looking at them. I love that they are color coordinated. And so these are my pre-cuts. Let's turn you up a little bit so you can actually see. There we go. You can see that whole section. So that's the funny little nub that that was holding the rod. So old things. So this is very old. We have had this forever in our family. I don't even know where it came from, what it is, but I love it. And just neat old, love it. This is an old cigar box from my dad. What I want to do is, like, on the inside where a lot of, there's cross-stitch patterns. I know there's a Brenda Gervais salt box something, and there's a design on the inside. I may do that. I have no idea where I got this, but I used to love going to thrift stores, not thrift, like antique stores. And I love, here's my funny thing, I collect heart rocks. Mom and I used to do that. So found this on a walk, perfect heart rock. So there we go. Then I have my collection of pre-cuts. This, oh, here's something else cool. See, I used to, at craft shows and stuff, people used to always do the antique quilts. This looks horrible up there. That's why I need to repaint. But I used to always collect these. I got a lot of fun heart things. My mom collected thimbles. This is one of her thimbles. And old thread. That's probably from Catherine. And this was from my mom's. Ooh, it's dusty. This was my mom's when she was a little girl. she didn't wear it. This was one of her doll things. So this was, it's moth-eaten because it's probably wool, but that was one of my mom's doll clothes. So actually I shared about my red pre-cuts last time. I shared about this. These are just some black pre-cuts that I got at Primitive Gatherings Quilt Shop. This is fun because this keeps the stuff clear. I was going through, I have a project bag. It's an embroidery project bag, and I'm going to share about that in my next floss tube. So floss tube, what would that be? Floss tube 7? Floss tube 8? Who knows? I'm going to share about the embroidery project thing that I'm making. And I used, it was great. This was up higher. But I love that this was a fat quarter bundle, 2 fat quarter bundles of Joe Morton. And it's really great because you've got a lot of fabrics that coordinate together. So that's that. This is a neat old quilt that I bought when my mom used to go to bear shows to sell, the vendor places to sell her bears. And there was a bear maker, and then she had also made some quilts. So I picked that up years and years ago at a quilt show. Now, here's one of my mom's bears. So these are the Artisan Bears that she made. Sweet little face. So this is one of my mom's. She made the clothes. Sometimes she would have someone else make the clothes too. But this is just one of my mom's sweet little bears that she made. And they were collector bears. They were not toy bears. Very, very much collector bears. So there's one of them. He sits in here. And then I've got some fabric collection that I'm going to be making a quilt out of. And another old thimble. I would guess, though, that was probably my great-grandma's. Neat old thimble. So that sits there. And then another of my mom's bears. She made all different types of bears. Big ones, small ones. I love all the different ones she did. And another old thimble of my mom's. Little rabbit. So more pre-cuts, old buttons, more pre-cuts. And then, let's see. Okay, yes, you can see this here. So this, I was thinking that my mom had made this. When I looked at the tag, this is not my mom's tag. So it was just one of her bear friends. She had lots and lots of bear friends and amazing designers. So this was one that I got. I inherited after she passed away. But here's the neat thing, and I am not going to cry, but when my son was preparing to move out, and then the emotions started, there was this picture. These are my kids long ago. We were in Colorado. We went to the Black Canyon. My parents lived in Montrose by the Black Canyon. Gorgeous. It's like the Grand Canyon, but it's black and it has these green trees, and the river, the Gunnison River, goes down. We had gone to the Black Canyon, and they got these little junior forest ranger hats. And then we drove up to the Cimarron, and that's my oldest son, Jake, leading my little Chad. And so when my son was preparing to move out and he was going to move in with his older brother, they're 5 years apart, I just saw this and I thought, oh, he's leaving our house, but he's going to live with his older brother. And it just, you know, he's older, but it just, for my mother's heart, it just felt good. And then at the time I was thinking this was my mom's bear, and I thought, oh, and then, you know, my mom's holding on to this. But anyway, so these are my things there. Now, let me turn you a little bit, and I just want to share also, I have had this guy forever. My mom and I used to go to vendor fairs together, and because I had a resale license for a while, and we bought a ton of tin things. That's the only one that I have left, and I will always have him. There's just some things, you know, that you always want to have. So I love these cool boxes. Right now, I realize this guy is empty. I used to keep all my pearl cotton in here. This guy is empty. I've had this thing forever. These are just the paper ones. So now it's like, ooh, I can store some stuff in there. And then I've got my applique. All my applique pieces are in there, and some of my mom's quilt diary. I'm not getting that out because I'm not going to cry. But those are just some things. I love having storage, and I like the storage to look cool and look neat. So let me see if now I can show, see, you're going to see my mom right there. All right, so these are, let's see if I can go right here. This is just an old wood box. This is kind of awkward, but we're going to do this. Old wood box. I have always had this, and it has a little lip here. So I used to have this in the front room. Before we got some new furniture, I had it in the front room, and I used this as a primitive display. And I love that it had a lip here because I used to make things that hung on wire, and just cool, primitive looking stuff. And then when I was really trying to figure out how could I get more stuff in my room and get it really organized, I realized I stacked stuff. So I popped this in here beginning of this year, I think, and put more of my special quilt books. So, excuse me. So these are my special quilt books with my special designers. So I've got Kim Deal. I've got Joe Morton. You're going to see my favorites. I've got Jan Paddock, Linda Brannock, Blackbird Designs, some odds and ends that are lovely, joined at the hip. Oh, Maggie Bonanami. I love these. Bittersweet Threads. I think I have almost all of those. And then now some of my new favorites that I'm doing. So I've got some wool books and Edita Sitar. And, oh, there's here. Celeste had one of these, so I had to get one of these. Celeste Creates. I'm not always keeping this filled out, though. But this is here. My notebooks are here. I love notebooks. And I am going to close out by reading something special from this, God's Promises for Your Everyday Needs, or Every Needs. I have that there. And then usually my quilt journal is there. Then, I don't know if you can see this, so let's turn you down a little bit more. And one time my husband is a brick mason, so he does he can do tile, he can do lots of stuff. We were going to use these tile for the kitchen, and then I had them, and I thought, oh, what can I do with them? It's still got the rough back. I should really put some felt on the back of that. But I love to use this as my trivet. So I've got all kinds of trivets, and usually not cup holders, rug mugs, whatever. I've usually got those up here because I'm always walking in and putting something down. Now, what else do I want to show you? Okay, so down here we have my fabric. This is kind of a junk drawer right now, but I do keep my rulers that are longer. I used to store them in the back of the closet, and I wanted them to stay flat. So my rulers, the stencils, bigger things I keep in this drawer along with some stuff. Oh, what do we have here? My mom and dad. I showed that to my dad recently, and I said, last time you smiled is when you were with Mom. That's not true, but sometimes I just can't hold those out, so I tuck Mom things away sometimes. Then I've got flannels. So again, I like to keep it where I can look through. So these are my flannels. These are smaller pieces. 3 drawers of flannel, and then the very bottom one are my wovens and my brushed cotton. So now we're almost done. I'm going to show, and I'm not going to cry. There's my dear mama. So this is the picture that I used to look at every time I walked in here, and it was just too much. So I have it back here now, and see, this is where I come and talk to her sometimes. And sometimes when I'm talking to my dad, I'll do this and I'll show him. We do FaceTime, and because I look so much like my mom. And this is one of his favorite pictures. That's why he had this made. But she didn't always, she a lot of times had short hair. And then this is also a special thing. My mom, there was a Peacemakers in Colorado, in Ridgeway, for a short time, and we went to the festival. I had kettle corn for the first time, and Chad was a little baby, and she was holding him, and he loved this funny looking thing. It's this little sunflower doll. He loved it, and so she bought it just because he loved it. And she had it in her laundry room, and then she gave it to me. Now we got that ugly thing in the background. Let's put this in the background. There we go. That's much better looking. All right, now we're closing out now with the good stuff. So this is the stuff that really matters to me. This is talking about the stuff that helps me keep going. So I love my quilting, but my faith in Jesus Christ is what really keeps me going, what really is my foundation. On Christ, the solid rock I stand, all other ground is sinking sand. So this is a book one of my Bible study leaders gave me probably 15 years ago. This is the card she gave it to me with. I love keeping that. But I love this. I have no idea if it's out anymore, but it's just verses broken down into different sections. So I have all kinds of different devotional books, and I tuck them away. I'll pull them out. It's not like I read one every single day, but I was just looking through this, and I thought, oh, these are great verses. So this is what to do when you do not understand God's ways. And it's just a couple verses that I wanted to share with you. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, nor are my ways your ways, says the Lord. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. That's Isaiah 55, 8 and 9. And it was so cool because on Sunday, we were up in the mountains, and so I watched our church service instead of being there. But we had a special guest speaker. I go to Calvary Chapel, Chino Hills, and a lot of people watch our pastor, Jack Hibbs. So this is what the sermon that was done. It wasn't really a sermon. It was just a talk by Dr. Frank Turek. He's an apologist. And the title of the sermon, I wrote it down, was How Can Jesus Be the Only Way? And so that was November 15th, was that sermon. It was amazing because he was talking about, as an apologist, that a lot of people will say Christians are narrow-minded because Jesus says he's the only way, and so we say Jesus is the only way. But really, he showed that all faiths, all religions say that their way is the only way. So it was really good to hear that and very interesting. Then the other thing, he talked about this verse, and then he showed the heavens. He showed, and that's where I was sharing on my floss tube that I was looking at the screen and I was seam ripping something, and I ended up damaging my fabric because I was looking at what he was showing on the screen, and it was just the heavens, how high the heavens are, how vast the heavens are, and how perfect. The sun is the perfect distance from the earth. All the planets are a perfect distance to protect us. Perfect. Designed. No accident. Designed and perfect. Then he was just sharing about that and just sharing about this incredible world that God designed for us. And then he shared about Jesus. And not only did Jesus say he was the only way, he made that way for us, that our sin separates us from God. And so Jesus laid down his life in an incredibly excruciating, painful way, so that if we believe in him as our Savior and trust in him and we are saved by grace, we can be with God. And that talk was, it's nothing new to me, but it was so well done and so beautifully done. And just detail of the suffering that Jesus went through so that I could be with him in heaven, and so that my mom could be with him in heaven. And she is there. She is whole. She does not have dementia. And I will be with her one day too, because as my mom, she taught me about Jesus, and I accepted Jesus into my life, into my heart as my Savior when I was a little girl. So that's what I wanted to share with you. And that's where that verse, it was just like, oh, that was from that talk on Sunday. And then the other one, call to me and I will answer you and show you great and mighty things which you do not know, Jeremiah 33:3. And I love that verse. That's in one of my Bible memory verses as well. And then what then shall we say to these things? If God is for us, who can be against us? Romans 8:31. I've been thinking about that so much, just knowing the potential changes that our world could have and how that could impact me, and how religious persecution could come. But if God is for me, who can be against me? That just gives me so much courage. So there we go, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I pray that God blesses you, and I just pray too that you would choose joy nevertheless. Thank you so much for subscribing. I am just, this just gives me so much pleasure that I can share my life with you